All right, folks, this is Kent back here with Cardhoarder Prime for another match of Blue-Red Drake. Let's jump in the queue. Hey, we won the die roll. All right, so is 6 cards better than what we have? Double removal spell for the aggressive matchups. Good chance we're going to get choked down the road on mana. The deck definitely needs to hit 4 and 5 lands. It doesn't have the highest 22 land count, so we're looking at 21 and a 53. I mean, we're not going to draw one on the 1. So great chance here to just go over something that if we're trying to assess decks and just kind of get a feel for what works. Mulligans. You do this every game. You do this repeatedly. You have to do this over and over and over again. Why not give it the time and effort it deserves? Simply put, I think if this is an aggressive matchup, this hand is fantastic. Well, it's keepable. Let's keep it and see what's up. The preordain is what makes this hand passable. I know I've said great, I've said passable, I've thrown out a lot of adjectives here. This is all in the context of the format, remind you. I think this hand is good because I am going to be able to leverage things. Okay, so it looks like we're dealing with a mirror here, actually. Oops, undo. Cut that upkeep step. Let's get a preordain in. Let's go to the bottom with you, top with you, draw you. Okay. Sorry. Going back to the mulligan bit, which we'll kind of go over the course of these first few turns. I think it's really important to understand that there are some interesting, setups where you're going to have certain cards or not have certain cards. And you have to learn how to, on the fly, kind of weight all of those and decide which ones seem to be the most impactful for you. In this case, I feel like the most impactful cards for the deck losing a game one are lightning bolts and the like removal. Additionally, regardless of the strategy, there's usually an application for, okay, well, this is where I was a little concerned. All right, well, there is an application for them against Mole Drifters and the like. So this matchup is definitely going to play out like a real, tempo game. We're going to be, tempo is an overused phrase. This matchup is going to play out with a lot of trading of resources and costs. I am not going to cash in a card until absolutely necessary. My hope is that I'll be able to draw a land, Seagate Oracle, and then just run with it from there. Our opponent, if he discards a land, will end up discarding another card anyway. Okay. So we're on the Drake mirror. Womp, womp, womp. Where to me? So looks like our keep isn't paying off. It's not that we, are particularly out of it with the hand that we have, but in these mid-range matchups, it's definitely important to maintain your land drops just to keep hitting them over and over and over again. You want to be spending as much mana as possible over the course of the match, and you can only do that with the requisite creatures or the requisite lands in play to make it happen. So how I imagine this matchup going, it's pretty much just going to be who can keep a handful of cards, cast some removal spells when appropriate, and eventually get into a position where you're able to just overwhelm what your opponent's doing. So instead of casting a lightning bolt here, I'm just going to go to the discard step and get rid of a flame slash. I don't really agree with our opponent throwing that lightning bolt there. I think it's better served saving it to maybe break up the combo or to deal with just, the Drake or the Mole Drifter as a flyer. So our opponent is going to probably put an Archaeomancer in play, getting this compulsive. Oof. Oh, that's a good one. Oh no, getting the lightning bolt back. All right, well, we'll bolt this. It is part of his combo. I think it would have been correct there. To get back the draw 3, I think that the matchup really heavily comes down to can you continue to hit your land drops? Can you continue to develop just your board, and to just try to keep progressing from there. I do not feel like it's a race, but maybe our opponent just has everything else he needs, and he or she needs everything else they need. Okay, so with this sequence happening, once the trigger's on the stack, excuse me. So you can't quite combo me from here. Yeah. So our opponent, guess he was trying to just generate a big advantage there, and instead of finding what he needed, looks like he ran into some complications with development. So just let him keep doing this. Yeah, it's very likely that his next turn is going to be, just really powerful. Okay. Keep going from here. Okay, so I am going to end a turn bolt to turn off his Drake. The opponent has dug a very large amount of cards deep into the deck, but I still feel like taking one of the combo pieces out of play while you can is a good practice. Oh well, that shows me. This is just one game, but reflecting on that mulligan decision a lot more, the one lander's just not going to cut it. Not even on the draw. If you know it's an aggressive matchup, the double bolt comes into play. This ended up not being the case. It's just pretty hard to really generate an advantage. Okay. I did F6 already. Reasoning behind that is I just don't have the interaction. The matchup will become a hypothetical clock battle. So I'm happy to let him just go through his motions and basically see what he can do with this. There's definitely, something to be learned with watching or observing what your opponent is doing with the deck. I think he's going to show us what I expect to be in the matchup, which is just a good card advantage sequence. This matchup, I will be bringing in the Pyroblasts. I don't think I bring in the Hydroblasts. The red spells outside of Pyroblast are, some spot removal. And I think the way you're supposed to fight this is just with a lot more interaction. I'll bring in the Dispels as well. Bring in the Relics. The question is what are we cutting? I think we're going to cut the counter spells. I don't want to cut the compulsives. Those cards seem really good. Nice. So we'll cast this tapped. And we're definitely going to be battling from the back foot here. So we're going to go to 8. Okay. Evoking here. So I'm assuming he has the Ghostly Flicker? No. No. They do not have the Ghostly Flicker. Okay. So the Ghostly Flicker was there, just possibly got it off of the sandbar. I would imagine a good sequence be to go 4, 5, 2. Small thing there, get your attack in, chip for the 3 additional. You know, it's things like that definitely matter in these mirrors. There's no reason to give up, you know, the small advantage that you can generate. So I expect from here, yeah, that our opponent's just going to have just a long streak of, all right. So I actually don't want to cast that. We're going to go this one because we're looking for a specific card, not 2 cards. Really just looking for a land. Oh, my Lord. Oh, my goodness. Oh, my goodness. Oops. Apologies. The Drake there would have been nice, actually. So another F6. So I'm not sure I understand like the immediate desire to tap out. You know, there's definitely like edges to be gained with some of your sequences of mana. So then he goes Drake, and as long as he demonstrates that, untaps 5. Yeah, we're good here. We're gonna concede this. I talked about it before. It's not worth my time to watch him go through and combo. You know, I get that some people that's what they want to do. I don't. That's how I like to play Magic. Let's get to the next game and make some sweet decisions. So, focusing on what matters. I'd imagine Giga Drowse seems like a good one. It's going to let us tap down kind of what he's doing. It also will let you get some things in the upkeep that come into play. I actually don't think a card like Torch is where we want to be. Firebolt doesn't actually kill the relevant threats out of him, his respective combo pieces, and a sorcery is definitely a liability. Yeah, it's not that much of a liability, though. All right. I'm actually going to cut some of the more expensive counter magic. I'm just going to cut the 2 Firebolts. I think some Lightning Bolts and Flame Slashes are fine. They don't kill anything, you know, that we really need to be pointing our targets at. Yeah, so we're bringing in Giga Drowse Pyroblast Relic. I could be really far off here with this Giga Drowse. I can accept that fact. It seems like a good situation, though, if I ever get ahead to have this card just tap down their permanents or to implement a Time Walk. I would have to say rebuilding the sideboard a card like this, unless I gained a deeper understanding, would not be something I would bring. I don't think I'm supposed to be, you know, messing with this information here. So Firebolt over Giga Drowse. So I don't expect, actually, I am going to assume my opponent is going to sideboard in a way that is the same as my own. I'm going to bring in these leave in one more Firebolt and just become kind of the best Jund deck I can. Maintain the advantages where I can find them. I have a way to break up the combo in Relic Opportunist, so I might as well ride that. This is definitely going to be much more about trading resources back and forth. So I'm actually going to cut 1 Preordain and leave in all. Do I leave in all the Firebolts? Yeah, why not? Yeah, this is fine. Maybe it was correct to cut one of the compulsives, but we're trying to get ahead on cards. So let's see what going with, okay, we learned our lesson. Well, that's a multi-no-lander, and we'll keep. Keep. Top. Not going to get not going to get too complicated here. This will give us a pyro on like the 4. I'd like to go compulsive Archaeomancer compulsive. That seems like absolute hot fire. There is an argument there for bottoming the island, but I'm doing my best to be favoring the consistent in this specific matchup. I think stumbling on mana resources, especially when we have kind of the 2 big cards that we're relying on. So with our opponent showing us blue, I'm actually going to run out the Seagate Oracle. I did say during sideboarding that I would like to assume our opponent is going to sideboard optimally. In my eyes, I don't want cards like Counterspell in these matchups. Even on the draw, going Counterspell, untapped creature, it doesn't seem that impactful. I could very well be wrong. So, like, that exchange is decent for him, but I think I just want to be just running with this. We're actually going to pitch both of these, play a sandbar. So I'm wondering if with 22 lands, I'm not sure how the deck compares. With 22 lands, I'm not sure where that has us rest in the overall spectrum of 22 lands might be light for them if the mirror is very common, and I believe it is. I'm not fully versed in the cycling land, mana bases and how many mana bases you're supposed to have when stuff like that come into play. I think double relic out of our opponent is definitely something that we expect. So I'm actually gonna just go with the previous sequence that we had. I'm gonna discard a land though. And so we're going to discard Forgotten Cave. We're going to play Boilerworks, picking up the Lonely Sandbar. And then I'm going to have the Pyroblast for probably his Drake here, just to counter that before he gets to leverage that position. I'm really not concerned with him, popping one of these if he wants to give us that, or excuse me, if he wants to tap out in such a way that we'll be able to Archaeomancer back at compulsive. I'll take the opportunity. I feel like that's only going to happen. So there's definitely the pause there was to think, do I want to try to cut him off of 2 cards here? But I think we're assuming the we'll say the Jund role in this matchup. And if that's the case, I'm not too concerned if he's trying to just evoke Muldrifters. Really? Okay. Well, we'll just cycle. Got us. Oh, I see. So he's trying to make sure he doesn't discard a card there. Whoops. Minor issue there is I definitely should have, well, 2 issues there, actually. I'm going to cast this here, buy back this compulsive. I should have cast the Preordain there. I want to keep up the Pyroblast for the start of his Drake train. Or if he hard casts a Muldrifter, both would elicit a Pyroblast from me as their actual sticky threats. I know 2 Power Flyers don't sound that impressive, but they're really impressive. If this is a Drake, yeah. Counter target spell. I don't think Daze is a common occurrence in the deck. It wouldn't be great here. Maybe he has it anyway. Okay. So it looks like he's just going to get his activations in and give us the old F6, eat his Drake. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. Nice. Bottom, top. So let's go 5. Okay, we're gonna net one here. 1, 2, 3. All right. So from here, I'm gonna be able to get a nice little advantage from just casting a series of Drakes, leading me into a better board position than what our opponent has been rocking. I'll get to tap 2 compulsive myself. Maybe let's just cut a land here. Discard that. Let's actually tap both of these. I'm really looking for a counter spell here for his next Drake. We'll take that. And it's not optimal, but we've got a relic, so if he does try to combo out here, we're in good shape. Okay, this to me is the best way to get ahead in this matchup. Save your Pyroblast for his Drakes. Get a decent, turn. Obviously, I had a Drake, drew into a Drake, where you can just go from little board to a lot of board. There are not a lot of things that would punish this outside of him having like a Rolling Thunder, but he's not going to have a Rolling Thunder for the entire board. There's just too much toughness for him to do that. I don't really care. And from here, I'm just gonna, untap, cast a Mole Drifter, draw some cards, attack him for, a good amount. Have a Flame Slash if he does put a blocker into play. And this, in the same sense that the Twin Mirrors from, Modern were more about an exchange of resources into a good attack. Or sorry, you were trading resources back and forth, and many times you were just killing your opponent. I think that's what we're looking at here as well. Okay. Exile this here, eat his graveyard. I wonder if he cut the, I can't imagine he cuts the ghostly, or you cut the ghostly flickers in this matchup. I feel like it's definitely much more of a traditional, can I put a series of cards into play that keep me fluid? The relics seem like a really tough way to deal with the actual combo. And I think that that's okay. I wouldn't cut them still, because if I can, if he taps out, I can flicker the Archaeomancer and then just go from there. Oh, yeah. Yep. Let's see what's going down. Let's go you. Try to find us a flicker. Yep. All right. Okay. So now let's go to the attack portion of this shindig. So you're going to take 3. I'm going to have a very lovely flicker turn where I'm going to end with the flicker in my hand, and your Oracle will most likely be dead. I guess I could have accomplished that beforehand to push through another. No, I should have accomplished that beforehand to push through another damage. There is some merit in that I'm going to draw a couple cards here. Yeah, I'm okay with this sequence. All right, let's go to the second main phase. 4, 5. So let's go flicker, Drake Archaeomancer. We're going to always yield, and we're going to Always yield untapping these 5. Hey, all right, we got a concession. So from there, I was just going to be able to draw a stack of cards, be able to draw 2 more cards, cycle for a third. If I find another ghostly flicker, I then get to flicker for cards and then flicker back into combinations. I don't think my opponent made necessarily an egregious error there, but there's definitely some merit in playing a little more conservative. I like our sideboarding plan here. We just got the removal spells we need. We're definitely trying to control the board and control the attacking portion of the game, as opposed to trying to control, we'll just say, focusing on the combo with stuff like counterspell. It feels like a really mana inefficient system. I understand you're trading 2 mana cards for some much larger things. Okay, we're gonna keep this hand. But killing the threats on the board ties into both stopping the combo and stopping just the consistent chip. I think you're better off with the lean towards the chip. So we will go Guildgate in case we draw like a bolt or the like. And he presents a creature. I don't think he presents a creature though in most of these situations. We are going to run into the infamous Ravnica draw issue where I am going to probably have to discard something. I could play the island straight up. If I draw a second untap source, it might be a good idea. So yeah, we're gonna play this tapped. There's not. I've got the cards that I want to see in this matchup. Next turn, I'm going to be able to tap for 3, cast an Oracle, find a card that I'm pretty interested in, bounce the sandbar back to my hand. Yeah, and our opponent is doing some decent work there with. So is there merit to researching myself versus Seagate Oracling? If I research, I want to find any land or a land to pitch. No, I need to actually get some cards out of my hand here. I don't want to be giving up cards to the discard step. Let us take this. Do we want this boiler works? Do we want this boiler works? Do we want the boiler works? Yeah, we got enough time on our clock. I'll take the untapped land here. So the thought behind that is that if I draw a 1-mana interactive spell, I can just go island, compulsive, have that up. I also think it is reasonable to want to just play it face up regardless. Interesting. Okay. So I'm just going to keep building my board here. I hope I find a lightning bolt or a. Yeah, sure. Interesting. So if our opponent might be building towards that, a good sequence the following turn with a couple of peregrine drakes. Doesn't look like that's the case though. Interesting. So it looks like he's maybe trying to shift roles here. Target myself with the compulsive. Gonna go up to 8 cards. If he has the counter spell, we're happy. I mean, we're okay with it. Yeah, sure, you got it. Play the Boilerworks, bounce the sandbar. Seems great. If he doesn't have a sequence at end of turn, we have a cycle. We so far have given up 0 cards to like a discard or an unnecessary effect. That might have just been what our opponent was waiting on, though, was the start of his 5th mana for his Drake Chain. I mean, if his hand is like Drake, Muldrifter, number 2. Unfortunately, looks like it might be the case. So the good news is he's not going to net any mana. Not that he needs to net any to, get ahead. I guess he would be able to net one if he had. So he gets the Pyroblast here. Wow, that's a great sequence for him. Oh, preordain. Interesting. Okay. I think he would have eked out an advantage there. Oh, mistake. That's okay. So we're actually going to have a pretty good sequence here. I really hope we don't draw like the flicker on the 2. Yeah, we're going to play this. So this is going to give us a nice little plus mana situation. We're going to go Drake. Untap 4 or 5. We'll cycle this. Wow, that's awesome. Drake number 2. I'm just gonna hard cast this. Like, if we draw the Pyro or the Bolt here, we can fire it off on his Drake, which is what we will take the opportunity to do. Get out of here, Parrot. All right. So we went from 0 power to 6 power. In a turn, we also stymied our opponent's Drake. Double is a Boilerworks coming in the clutch there. So if the opponent wants to present the same thing, I would be interested to see what he does with the flicker once he has it. As this is a game 3, and this is, back into the murky, like, should I just concede here? I would say I wouldn't fault you for it, but I want to see my opponent's. I guess I just want to see him with the win condition. I will say in person this would be a little bit simpler, because they would just say like, "Hey, here's the card I have. This is great, isn't it?" And I'm like, "Yeah, it's great." From here, I'm just gonna F6 and wait for him to produce the win condition. I don't think that that's an unreasonable sequence. So he is +1 on all of his taps. Buying back the Ghostly Flicker. Yeah, I don't really think that there's much that we're worried about from here. There's not much that I can do from here. I think our opponent is going to demonstrate to us that he has a good amount of mana, and it's just a matter of him producing the actual kill condition from this. I'm just going to take this opportunity to kind of change the subject up. So Devin Kepke last weekend took down the SCG Columbus with Bant Company. That deck was great. That was the first of hopefully many successes for the team. We absolutely worked collectively on that list, spearheaded by the great Madisonite, Andrew Tenjum. He did a wonderful job of identifying in week 1, the advantages that we think we can pick up without much of a problem from just playing a consistent tried and true deck. And then the Selfless Spirit and Spell Queller sequences were just absolutely of the utmost importance to just push the deck over the top. I think a lot of people are misidentifying what makes Bank Company great. It's the fact that all of the features in the deck are individually fantastic. And then when you add them with a pseudo tutor in the collected companies, at an instant speed effect, I think it pushes the deck into, while this is a strong, phrase to throw out there, it is a Caw-Blade-esque situation. Okay, so now with our opponent showing us the double Archaeomancer, draw 3, blink 2. From this situation, I believe they are on an infinite. They will just have to go through the sequence, buying back 1 or 2 cards at a time, and eventually they can get up to enough mana that they would be able to lightning bolt us. So I am just going to throw the concession here. I totally understand for those folks that would sit through it, and let them go through them, or have them go through the motions and demonstrate they understand the advantage that they've gained. I think our opponent has shown a very good proficiency with the deck. While I don't necessarily agree with the counter spells out of the sideboard, I can see how it's absolutely paramount to have as much protection as possible for the, for the Drake into Ghostly Flicker with one of the other pieces in play. And that's what he's showing to us pretty handily right here. So I'm just going to toss the GGs. We definitely got, I don't think we got necessarily out-positioned. I think there would have been some merit to possibly compulsive researching into some other effects. Maybe to see, well, so if I compulsive research there instead of Muldrifter, I actually draw 1 card deeper. I'm looking for the interaction that I kind of sorely need. I think in this case, I actually, no, not I think. I made a pretty big mistake there. I was looking for 1 mana interaction in this situation. I needed a way to break up his combo. He had showed me 1 piece. And him receiving another piece with a Ghostly Flicker, which we can assume he has with the amount of selection he ran into, is a good occurrence. So I would chalk this up as unfamiliarity, but I, in that situation, find it much more advantageous to be evoking. It also gives me an understanding of why our opponent was evoking a little more aggressively. I think he definitely has more experience with the deck and has identified that one of the ways that you can, or not one of the ways, the best way to wait is once your opponent taps out, put the Drake in play, get your untap triggers, Ghostly Flicker, and go to town. Yeah. It's a humbling experience, but the 5-mana Muldrifter is not always the best Muldrifter. I think I should have opened with compulsive research, looking for that 1-mana interaction, because if I get another untap step, I don't think I'm losing from there. But lesson learned. Anyway, this is the end of the Blue-Red Drake video series. I will do a wrap-up video here after the fact, and we'll go over some of the neat things that I kind of ran across in some of my games. I hope everyone takes a chance to explore the wonderful format that is Pauper. Those of you out there that are really prone to your more degenerate type decks, I think this one will do a good job of showcasing some of the strengths of the format, in that you get to play Muldrifter, you get to play your blue interaction, you get to play your red interaction, while also at the same time providing a totally deep and rich play experience. I've heard some people, have complaints about the format because of a lack of depth. But anyway, we'll go over this all in the wrap up. Thank you so much. This is Ketter with Cardhoarder Prime, bringing you a Blue-Red Drake video.